No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed are greater than the legal services provided by other lawyers. You found the Heart of Dixie podcast, number 15. We are here in Montgomery, Alabama. I'm Harry Still. I'm an attorney at law from Daphne, Alabama. We're joined today by our regular co-host, Brandon Mosley. We're here at the Alabama Gazette. How you doing, Brandon?
Doing great, Harry. How are you?
And we have a special guest. That's what I've set Brandon between him and the window. I'm on the opposite side, so I don't get hit by any stray bullets. Barry Hipper Jr., how you doing, Mr. Hipper?
It's an honor to be on your show.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure for us to have you here.
Well,
We've got several things to talk about today,
yes,
but
sir.
Let's see, Brandon, what's our number one topic today?
Probably the number one topic of the moment is that all the people that have been buying and selling and purchasing and smoking and whatever psychoactive hemp products, as of tonight, when we hit July 1, most of that becomes illegal.
Right. So right now you can go across the street here and buy THCA hemp. If you get caught with it tomorrow, it's a Class C felony. Big difference.
Big difference between legal and Class C felony.
Okay.
Wow.
So Mr. Hipper, we're looking at your bio right now.
Yes.
And says that you were a state senator in
State
Alabama. Is that right?
State representative. I served 5 terms, enjoyed it. I served my first term, I was like 25 years old, and I served when George Wallace, his last term, George Wallace. And I was one of 7 Republicans in the House. And then of course, Governor Hunt came in and won when the Democrats got in a fight with each other, and they kicked Charlie Graddick out of the election. And Guy Hunt was the first Republican elected.
Since Reconstruction.
Yeah. Since Reconstruction as governor. And then and that was in, I guess, 86.
86.
And then
high school.
And my dad was elected as the first Republican Chief Justice in 1994. And if you remember, that was during the Newt Gingrich area, contract with America.
101st Congress.
Exactly.
Yep.
So you remember that well.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think since that time.
They kind of missed out on we can't trade stocks, though. I remember that. That part kind of fell through. The rest of the contract with America was kind of cemented. Really.
Well, yeah. Well, it was. I love Newt Gingrich. She was great, and
he's a very intelligent historian. As a student of history,
yes,
and the guy sitting on the other side of you knows more than I do.
Yes, sir.
Newt Gingrich is an impressive person.
He is, and he still is. At his age, it's amazing how smart this guy is. And then, of course, I miss Dad every day. He was elected to try to find balance and somebody that understood the free enterprise system to serve as Chief Justice of the Alabama Supreme Court. Because at the time, you remember, it's called the jackpot justice system. And all those big verdicts.
That was before my time, unfortunately.
But it almost destroyed Alabama.
I know. Businesses wouldn't come here because they get sued for somebody slipping on the sidewalk and then put them out of business.
Well, what got Dad to run was there was a lawsuit against BMW. A guy sued BMW for a bad paint job.
Yeah, it's Gore versus BMW. It is still the case it's the Alabama case that went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said you can only recover 3 times the punitive damage. Your punitive damages can only be 3 times what the compensatory damages were. So that case, that guy had a scratch on his car.
Yes.
And the jury said, BMW has been doing this forever, selling people crappy cars. We're going to gig their ass for $5 million or whatever.
Yeah.
And the Supreme Court said, yeah, your damages are like $30,000 and you can only get $90,000. So anyway, that case put the limit on every case in Alabama. In the United States.
At that time, the United States Supreme Court hadn't made a decision, but the Alabama Supreme Court went along with that $5 million. And so that's when Dad came down to my house and said, Perry Jr., I'm running. He was retired circuit judge. I'm running for Chief Justice. And I said, against Sonny Hornsby? And he said, yes. I said, well, you better settle up and cinch up tight because those trial lawyers are mean. and tough.
We're
and
all
stuff
evil.
like that. But bottom line is the Lord, he was with him. He won that election. And then they tried to hold it up by counting illegally unwitnessed, unsigned
Alabama?
absentee ballots. You remember?
Say it ain't
And so, but anyway, 9 months later, he was certified, and the 11th Circuit said you can't change the election or rules after the election. And consequently, he was the first Republican Chief Justice ever elected in Alabama, the United States Supreme Court affirmed.
Awesome.
But anyway, I love being on your show today.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff that's happened since then with
So last week or
Yes.
last time we got together,
Yes,
we
sir.
talked to Dean Ogle.
yeah.
And so I had this, being a child of the Enlightenment, I had to be prepared to explain to him why the world wasn't flat. I don't need to do that with you, do I?
No.
Okay, the world's
No.
round. Okay, let's move on.
One thing that is a fact. Trump is the greatest and most effective president in United States history. That's a fact.
Potential, it may prove to be true.
Well, it already has been. Look at what he did in the first term.
Everyone at the table currently accepts that the world is round and it goes
Yes.
round.
Yes, okay. It's as round as this table. Thank goodness. Okay, so here's what you're here for.
Yes, sir.
We want your inside baseball
Okay.
on the lieutenant governor's race.
Okay.
So last time we talked to Dean, Brandon and I had dinner with Wes last year at the
Yeah.
Bama Carey banquet or whatever. Very personal guy, like
Yes, he
him.
is.
Into the things I'm into. Nicole Wadsworth, economic developer from Huntsville. We talked to her for
Yeah,
an
she
hour and a
was
half,
good.
and she knows everybody I don't know in economic development in Alabama.
Yes,
Rick
sir.
Pate. Wouldn't want to gamble with the guy. I mean, he's
Commissioner.
however in the world you put all the Mexicans out of business by cutting all the grass in Alabama, or maybe they all work for him. I don't know. But anyway, he's rich and powerful, and he wants
Well
for some
respected.
reason and well respected, and he's personable.
Yeah.
Most importantly, all these people have that Bill Clinton thing that I don't have,
Yeah.
and Brandon doesn't have. Perry
Yeah,
might have a little
I
bit
don't
of
have
it.
that. I mean,
But you know what I
Rick Pate's
mean.
like your favorite uncle.
Yeah. All these people are very personable. Now, the people on the right, obviously, I know who John Merrill is. He's a possibility. John Niemeyer Wall. I'm sorry. That's John Wall, who is, anyway, it's up in the air what his name really is or where he lives.
Yeah,
and all
John
that.
Wall is a possibility.
He's a possibility. And then
Right.
George
He's
Childress.
testing the waters.
Right. And then George Childress and Patrick Bishop. I don't know them.
George Childress has announced. I have Facebook messaged him. He has not responded. I know nothing about George Childress other than those basic bio. Patrick Bishop's a pretty cool cat.
Mhm.
He's retired U.S. Army major. He's a Cullman County Sheriff's deputy right now.
Interesting.
I don't know if he can raise money and just how well known he is in the state, but yeah, he has an impressive bio.
Well, one thing I can say about all of these people running, if any one of them gets Donald Trump's endorsement, they win.
They're done. Right.
They win, period. Thank you very much. And look, they're all good people. I know them all. I've met them all.
Met George Childress.
Maybe I have not met George, but Wes Allen's dad, Gerald, served with me in the legislature a number of years.
Right.
Wes is a sharp guy. Has done a great job as Secretary of State. I've known Nicole for a long time with her background in economic development, and her husband Tim is a great guy, good legislator.
He's a bankruptcy lawyer.
Yes.
Is that what he does? Day job?
He does bankruptcy law, but he also, I think, represents the city and issues that come before them. Rick Pate, to me, very humble, nice guy. I really enjoyed talking to him, and he's done a great job as Commissioner of Agriculture. John Merrill, I think, would be a formidable candidate. I just don't know. He's got a really good job right now,
Yeah.
and I don't know if he wants to sacrifice.
Didn't the Ethics
that
Commission
job.
tell him he couldn't do that job and be the?
Now, I've heard that. I don't have any facts on that, but I heard there were some questions, and that would be major concerns to John, because I know he's enjoying his work. But he's a personal guy, and I think he'd be certainly competitive. I don't know Patrick or George or John. I know I know John Wall.
John Wall.
And look, I think he's been a great state chairman of the Alabama Republican Party. I'd hate to see him leave that post because he's done a lot of great things, raising money and helping Katie Britt and helping Coach Tuberville.
He's been a good chairman.
So look, I feel like when Biden was in there,
Yes, sir.
my little poodle dog over there could have raised tons of money for the Republican Party. Now, you see what, like since Trump's been in, like, has he still been raking in? Probably, because, but anyway,
It
just
was
seems
an
like
unfair advantage to have the worst president probably
ever.
with the knee behind his
Like
back.
it's weekend at Bernie's at the White House, and I'm the guy raising money for the Republican Party in Alabama. Yeah, I think that's
You would love to have
Merrill.
that position.
No kidding.
In other
I mean,
words.
you talk about the luck of time and place and
Well,
serendipity.
I think, but John, I know he's testing the waters right now,
Yes, sir.
but I think he'd be a formidable candidate.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of work. He's got a base to run in a position like this, having the support from the state executive committee. I just think he's got to weigh it a little bit. Does he want to leave the state chairmanship to run for lieutenant governor? I do not know, but I like John, and whatever he decides to do, he'll do a good job.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have a hard time making this runoff when it comes, almost certainly they're going to runoff if there's 7 or 8 candidates running. For
Who's
this.
going to have the most money to burn? That's the question. It's
Yeah.
like it's Nicole Wadsworth. They got plenty of bread. Rick Pate's got plenty of bread. Wes Allen has been around for a while. The party, would certainly.
Well, Wes will be able to raise money probably through his dad, who's a current state senator, Gerald Allen. But Rick Pate, if Alpha supports Rick,
And the governor.
that's a base, and that's a lot of money right there. So it's hard to say. It's early right now. We're a couple years.
Yeah, this report, the end of June report that
Yes.
they're preparing as we speak, will be interesting reading.
To see who's got.
So he was
something.
getting money
It's like
from
who had the best June. I really don't care who had the best May because I was like, 10 days.
Well, let me say this. I like them all. Look, and you heard the old saying, raising funds for an office is like the mother's milk of politics.
Absolutely.
And whoever can raise the money right here, whether you got name ID or don't have name ID, that'll build it.
Sure.
So that's something that all these candidates you think about. Now, the lieutenant governor position, you got to remember, it doesn't have the same authority as president of the Senate.
Yeah, it doesn't have the authority like it had when Don Siegelman had it.
Exactly. Not even close.
Yeah.
But it does help if
This is the infamous jug incident.
Yeah, where they kept
That's
Steve
it.
Linda from
They kept
having-
Steve up there on the
exactly. You got it.
Anyway,
Yes, sir,
yeah.
Harry.
So there was a lot of history around this table that we remember, right, guys?
Oh gosh, yes.
Okay, so let's move on to the Secretary of State. Caroline Dobson obviously has tons of money, went to Harvard, doesn't know what to do with herself. The PTA isn't enough. So last time she ran for
Congress.
Congress,
in the
Congress,
second
that's right.
district.
That was her first
She got
race.
beat by Shamari
Yeah,
Figures.
Shamari Figures. The demographics, the way that district was drawn was just too much for us.
But
Yeah,
she-
it was overtime.
One thing you got to think about, she beat Dick Brubaker in a Republican primary.
Pretty strong.
And Dick is a very popular guy. They own Brubaker Motors and just a great family, good man. I was stunned.
Yeah,
I
Senator
helped-
Greg Albertson was in that too.
Senator
When those
Albert,
candidates were first announced, we just assumed it's going to be Dick Brubaker versus Greg Albertson.
correct.
And all these other people are just
Cannon fodder.
wasting time.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, Caroline's like, oh no, goodbye, Greg.
Yeah,
Get
Well,
out,
damn,
Dick.
huh?
but I'll tell you this, Caroline ran a great campaign.
Yeah.
She got about the most you could probably get in a Democrat congressional.
Sure.
Yeah,
The way
that was
the
rough.
way it
The
was
way CD2
created.
It's like, hey,
exactly.
you know what? I want you to go run in Selma and Camden and all these other places. See how many votes you get.
Well,
'Cause
Sam, I think it's at the 7th.
okay, well, you understand what I'm saying. Just
Yeah,
the
you-
majority of the black belt and Wiregrass.
The bottom line is Caroline will be a formal candidate. She's got she's going to have to build up her name now since it's a statewide, and the only people that know her are going to be in the 2nd Congressional District. However, she will be able to raise money. She's got a lot of friends, and her husband's family is very wealthy.
Yeah.
And so
Father-in-law's like a billionaire, I'm told.
yes, from Texas.
That
They have
helps.
that
It
big,
helps.
big hunting operation over there. But also Andrew Sorrell has built a pretty strong name identification for himself. He did a good job in the legislature. He did a good job as auditor, even though everybody says, what does an auditor do? But
And the three of us know they don't do jack squat, except they're over a deck of property stuff.
Well,
and
That's right.
It's not their
they
fault.
took away, well, I mean, they stripped their power and they
stripped
created the
power
examiners
away,
of public
back in
accounts.
39.
Right.
you know what
But none of us were here then.
I don't, the bottom line is, Andrew has done a good job. People like Caroline. I think it's going to be a competitive race, but whoever gets the word out and can raise money is going to win that election.
So is this the fellow that has the book store?
Yeah, Andrew and his brother, while Andrew was still in high school, started a textbook company.
In
Mhm.
Livingston? Are they from the
No, they're
university?
from Florence. They're
Florence. That's what I was
yeah,
thinking.
Russell
University of North
Shoals,
Alabama.
yeah.
That's right.
Russell
Florence.
Shoals. That's right.
Interesting. So anyway, he has that business and he has like a title loan place and
No, he got into, he made mint in the textbook business competing against the university bookstore.
okay, so we got to talk about a little dirty thing.
Well, then he got into the two, you got one pawn shop, it's called Gold Guns and Guitars,
I like it.
because he likes to buy gold and he likes to sell guitars, and of course he likes guns.
And his partner is on the state executive
State
committee.
executive
Okay, but he
committee.
Isn't-
Josh, yeah, good guy.
isn't he? And we haven't even done a podcast about it because I think it would be wildly irresponsible to point people to go buy a security that's not a security. And what I'm talking about is meme coins,
Well, I mean,
bitcoins,
I
and all
don't know
that
if he's
stuff.
still in that or not, but at one point down there at Gold Guns and Guitars, you could buy Bitcoin. They were into crypto mining.
But I mean, I've heard him speak, and he
Yeah.
said that he wants us to be the damn Bahamas of the United States. He wants us to write laws that say blah 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 blah. And of course, at the federal level, they're trying to write a law that says
Crypto, I mean,
that crypto can't be mucked about by state legislatures.
I am skeptical about the whole crypto thing, but it has the support of the Trumps, and crypto star is rising.
Yeah, it's still a security that I think everybody that takes your cash money and gives you Bitcoin in return just committed securities fraud and should be arrested.
Well, one thing I will say about both of these candidates,
Yes,
they
sir.
want to make sure we have honest elections. And I've both Caroline and Andrew, but I've heard Andrew, he talked to me about it. He would like to create
Okay,
an office in the Secretary of State to make sure we have honest
I
elections, put
understand
out
that.
the fraud.
Look.
And
We
Caroline
could
is
give
up-
everybody an ID. We give everybody in America a phone, and when you turn your phone on, you have to look at it, and it biometrically recognizes you, and you put your thumbprint in it, and all this kind of stuff.
Yes, sir.
There's all kind of things we could do so that the government can hold an election with some integrity. It's just like all these damn cameras around here,
That's
where we
right.
have to live under constant surveillance, so the cops might be able to solve a crime if one happens, maybe. So yeah,
Well said.
we could do like the Iraqis and put our damn thumbprint on every, there's all kinds of things we can do to make it. But the problem is the integrity part is supposed to be the Secretary of State, the sheriff, the
Right.
probate judge, all these people with integrity. And we keep coming up snake eyes with rigged elections.
Well, I mean, Alabama and
You're right.
Tennessee.
There's all kinds of things we could do to secure it absolutely and track everybody with their phone and all that.
Yes.
That's not what America is.
Alabama,
You show up to vote.
Alabama and Tennessee.
Give them an ID.
already
Yeah,
have
show them
the
a
most
voter
secure
ID.
election.
That's
Easy
it.
peasy.
That's what we want to do. But I think I like that. And I know this girl named Miss Shepherd.
Angela.
Yeah, Angela Shepherd. she was in a polling place and she saw people making copies and voting illegally. And she brought that up to the Secretary of State, and then she tried to pass a bill to have audits of those elections, and the probate judges killed the bill.
So in Etowah County, when I was there, I was in a position created by a federal judge.
Yes, sir.
And the election manager there was not the probate judge. Remember Jimmy Junkins?
Yeah.
Judge Junkins?
Yeah.
So I was the chief executive officer and I was the election manager. Wow. So when everybody says, oh, there's all this election fraud, I was like, not in Etowah County, not during these two elections when I was there. Yeah. And it was me and the county engineer going around picking up the little packets. And we had a deputy sheriff in the back seat. The sheriff wasn't going around picking all these ballots and stuff because I was the one responsible.
Good for you.
Anyway, there's an easy way to do all this, and it's not complicated, and we don't need to give the government our fingerprints or our iris scan or what else, just so we can have an election with some integrity in it. And I know that there are innovative ways.
I just think we just need to have a strict voter identification.
Okay, well, it's the same thing. Does the government have any reason to have biometrics on Harry if Harry's not a criminal? No. Absolutely not.
I agree
so
with
why?
you.
So why would they?
I just think that the voter ID,
absolutely,
that needs to be done.
That's a no-brainer. Everybody can go get an ID, even if it's not a driver's license.
One thing I do agree with Andrew about is we do need to do a post-election audit. We're a state that doesn't.
That's what I was just talking about.
And you guys are listen. Andrew is a smart guy, and he talks a lot. These other people may be dumber than doorknobs. And what I'm saying is he talks so much and I know so much about his agenda. There's 2 or 3 little things I'm nitpicking at that are just kind of like it. These are just kind of, I don't know exactly how to, I need to have a long conversation with him about his positions.
And in defense of Caroline, she's only been in this for like 4 days. So
true.
I'm not sure exactly what her agenda is for their state. We'll learn that as we go further in this.
She's got a great dad. I know her dad, mom, and successful cattleman.
I mean, we love the King's Ranch out in Texas.
Now that's the husband's parents,
that's
and they can write a big check. There's no question about that. But
I
think this will be a good one to watch.
I bet
this race will be a great one to watch.
All right. Well, let's see if I can get my cursor to work. And we'll see if we can move on to the next time.
When are we going to the governor's race?
Well, that's a little dead right now. So let's go ag commissioner. So anyway, 2 people from my end of the state. Okay. So you know who the Warners are? Talk about people that can stroke a check. You know who the Warners are, right?
Yes.
Warner Turf.
Yes.
And then you know the McKinnisons who built the Tim James toll bridge
I
know,
Alabama.
I'm friends with Tim and John McKinnis III.
The third, okay.
Yeah, and been down there many times.
To John the Third, or to John the Fourth?
No, it had to be John. It'd be this the who is running? His wife?
His wife.
Okay.
It's McKinnis's wife.
That's the third that owns Floribama.
Yes.
Okay.
And I it's a funny thing. I'm very close with him, and he has not called me yet. Oh, I didn't remember. You asked me.
Don't worry. They get down to the wire. It's coming.
That phone call is coming.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so then we have Jack Williams, who's a state senator from out in Wilmer. And is he a farmer too, or is he
he's a farmer.
He's a farmer.
He's a farmer. He started off in hogs, and then I think they're now in like crops, and they do some sort of nursery stuff.
Nobody in marijuana though, obviously.
No, none of these are doing this.
I will tell you this.
Yes, sir.
John and I have been to Malargo together
a
couple different times to see Trump. So it's safe for me to say he's a gigantic Trump supporter.
Good.
Tim is. I mean, not Tim, but
John
McKinnis III. Yeah.
John 3. Well, anyway,
Tim's his brother. Tim McKinnis is his daddy's brother.
Okay.
They're road builders, and they live in Montgomery.
I got you. And the rest of them are in Foley, right?
The rest of them are down there on the beach, and they changed from being in the road construction to be government contractors on cleanup when they have hurricanes, tornadoes, and they destroy the coast. They're very, very efficient company.
So let's talk about U.S. Senate. Right now we have Steve Marshall and Jared Hudson. So I obviously know who Mr. Marshall is because I ran against him last election cycle.
Yes, sir.
So you got anything else to throw in on Steve?
You know, I think a third candidate's going to get in this, but I mean, Steve is out of the bat pretty strong.
Well, what if
fundraising.
John Merrill gets in it?
Yeah, John Merrill might get in that. I've heard that rumor. I know Barry Moore, the congressman,
Mm-hmm.
is looking at
I've
it.
heard that too.
I don't know. I mean, Bradley Byrne and Mo Brooks both made the mistake of giving up a safe congressional seat to run for U.S. Senate. If I was Barry Moore, I would be happy to retire in U.S. Congress. But
Now that we got the majority,
Yeah,
I mean,
It's
why
better
run
than
for
the
something
majority.
else? You'll get
Yeah.
very important positions that helps the great state of Alabama. But right now, you're looking at either Marshall or Hudson. Now, Hudson, is he the special ops guy?
yeah, Jared Hudson.
I've heard
is-
some great things
Yeah,
about him.
I mean, if we've got some bad guys
that need
that
gutting.
are
Hire him.
hostages or
He's a
something,
mercenary.
yeah, we're sending Jared Hudson.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a former Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
He's been in all those,
He's been in the SH whatever,
all those
right?
shoot-up deals,
Good deal.
and he owns the Shooting Institute in Jefferson County, where they teach law enforcement or us how we can be better like combat shooters. He was a Shelby County deputy for 1 year, and he was a volunteer Jefferson County Sheriff Deputy when Mike Hill was the sheriff.
I bet that was an interesting ride along.
You know,
And then like 3 years ago,
I think I'd rather go back to Fallujah.
last election, he ran for Jefferson County Sheriff and lost to the incumbent, Mark Petway.
The sheriff who's selling whose brother's selling
that's
casino
Bruce.
permits.
I get Bruce and Mark confused, but yeah,
So,
it's casino licenses.
and we'll
Which you
just
can't
see
trade.
how the money and name recognition plays out.
Hey,
It
some
looks
of
like
these,
Marshall's bad.
but some of these races, do they have to resign Congress to run for Senate?
No, you do not.
So they're still a congressman
Yeah.
if they lose.
Remember, Mo Brooks did that when he ran against Katie Britt. He was in
Right.
Congress all the way through.
But what I'm
And Mo Brooks is another possibility. I've heard
Well-
that Mo might decide to get in the Senate race.
well, I'll say this. I bet before everything's all said and done, there may be 20 people in this race because I'll just say this.
Last time the guy that does my epidural injections, Dr. Beretta up in Birmingham, he
Yeah.
ran for Senate. Remember
Okay,
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, get an epidural, and he's telling me about the
Yeah.
Senate race.
And I've heard Mike Durant is
Oh,
starting to show back up.
no
So
way.
He might get in there.
Come on, man.
I mean, qualify don't end until February. So, if you're out there in TV land and you want to run for U.S. Senate, this is your race. This is your chance.
That's right.
All right, let's move on. Attorney General. So we got Jay Mitchell resigned from the Supreme Court the day that he could start raising money. He's been off to the races. We got Catherine Green Robertson, who is the number 3 or
She's
4
the
prosecutor
number 2 person at the AG's office
Now.
Right.
And then we got Pam Casey, hot for teacher. So Pam Casey taught law school at Birmingham School of Law when
Did
I
you
went there.
really? Wow.
Yeah, and one of my friends, he would laugh way too long at her jokes, and he's kind of sweet on her. So we play that Van Halen song. Whenever Pam Casey.
I love
walks out. So anyway, she got into a bit of a
Dust up with her sheriff.
her sheriff.
What is she doing now? She's just a
She's
fraction
the
attorney.
No, she's the Blount
district
County
attorney in
DA.
Blount County.
She's the DA there.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she's,
Okay.
like I said, I hear good things, and I think she taught criminal procedure when I was in law school, so she knows what she's doing. It's just, it's the problem I had when you walk in the front door and you kick the door down and you say, "This place is all screwed up." Nobody wants to talk to you.
Well,
Yeah, I mean that's Pam Casey.
Well, looking at this, and I'm sure Catherine and Pam are sharp as a tack and would be great attorney generals, but Jay is the only person who won statewide.
Yeah.
on the Supreme Court. So he will be, I'm sure he's got a
Now,
base.
he got appointed and then immediately defended it.
No, I think he
ran for re-election, didn't he?
yeah, he did run for reelection.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he's got probably a network set up. So that will give him an early start if he's set up in each city or county across the state of Alabama. But obviously, Catherine is a very good attorney general, and Pam is an outstanding DA. So that'll be an interesting race.
It'll be a knife fight.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking forward to that one.
I bet.
And I will not be running for attorney general again.
You're not going to make the race?
No,
this
no,
time?
not this time. I had,
So that is official.
yeah, well, you remember last time I went over here and I said, so this guy called me and he's got all this dirt on my opponent, but I go to the bar and I say, so, I can't say I'm a better attorney than somebody else, but his political speech was protected. So can I say this about my opponent or not? And they said, you better not say that about my friend Steve Marshall. And then when I walked out, they suspended my license for 3 months.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I'm not
Really?
Brandon was
That's
there.
awful. Terrible.
So anyway, just my little experience has taught me a lesson about statewide politics. So the Public Service Commission.
That was when the auditor.
Oh, did I
You
miss
skipped
it?
past auditor. There.
Oh, state auditor.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
Oh yeah. So Brandon, tell us about this Asian fellow that is
Okay.
loaded.
Derek Chin's family are from Taiwan, and they settled in California. And he went to college up in Michigan, where he was the college Republican chairman. And then he wanted to go to law school, and he came to Cumberland School of Law to do his law school here in Alabama. And he brought his love of Republican politics and likes the weather, and decided to stay here. And he's an attorney in the Birmingham area. And
You can get Dreamland Barbecue sent to you wherever you live. Like if you just like Dreamland, you don't have to move here.
Well, Derek, my understanding is that he's personally loaded and willing to spend some of that personal money. He's a very personable, very intelligent guy. Josh Pendergrass, remember he used to be a chief aide for Kay Ivey
Okay.
in the first term.
Oh yeah.
We all know Josh, and Josh has been around the state. Robert McCollum has run for PSC a couple of times. I think he ran against Twinkle for PSC president. I think he got like 40% of the vote.
I think he did.
That tells you that she's wildly unpopular.
Well,
But he's run statewide. So
yeah,
He's run
this will be
statewide
his
a couple
third
times.
time. He's a small businessman out of Dayville.
Mhm.
The big problem with Robert is, can he raise money? Josh has got the same issue. If Derek has his own money that he's willing to put in this,
I mean, we
that
don't.
puts him like 2 steps ahead.
We're not going to let a Democrat take this seat, but we're not going to pour tons of money
there's
into a
not
Republican
There's
primary.
not a lot of money out there. People have strong opinions about which candidate they like here, but nobody really gets anything by influencing the state
Well,
auditor.
let me say this. If you looked at that right now and didn't know anything about it, Derek would come in third place. I'm just telling you. That's just the way it is.
Name.
I'm just saying that. So, and people in this race aren't crazy.
But if he gets on a horse with a shotgun, with
That
a
would
hot blonde in a bikini with a cowboy hat,
Well, we don't need to hot blonde.
well, it'll tell everybody exactly what
It'd be like-
China's doing to us.
I've been exactly. I have moved here.
Yeah.
I'm an Alabamian.
Yeah.
I want to be one of you. Don't let the eyes fool you.
Well,
I'm an Alabamian.
Well, look, and he may be the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm just being a realist. If you didn't do anything and just looked at it and there was no money spent, in my opinion, he'd come in third place. But I couldn't tell you who would be John or Robert. But in my opinion, that race is open for somebody who's got good name identification or who's got a pile of money. That
That always
if there's somebody who goes to bed and dreams about being a statewide constitutional officer just because they want to be a statewide constitutional officer, and throwing 300,000-400,000 of your own money in there, or you have backing in Montgomery,
What?
that would be the race to get into.
Do you remember when I talked to you about the Clark girl, Laura Clark?
Yeah.
And she looked at running for Secretary of State last time. And she is a self-made person. She's from Dothan.
But is she interested in being state auditor?
And let me tell you, she's remarried. She lives in Birmingham now. But on her own, she made like $100 million, self-made lady. If she ran,
should have introduced her to me, Barry.
if she ran for state auditor, she could put $1 million in it tomorrow and not think twice about it if she really wants to be state auditor. And the only thing state auditor can help you with is if you want to run for something in a higher office.
Do they have an appointment power?
Yes,
one of the
that's
the thing.
That, I mean, they count state property, which is okay, cool. The big thing that the auditor does is the governor and the commissioner of agriculture and industries each get to appoint one of the 3 board of registrars guys.
Right.
In 66 of the 67 counties. Now, Jefferson County has their own little constitutional amendment where they've got some weird deal where it's different in Jefferson. Right?
Mm-hmm.
In every other county, the auditor appoints one of the 3 registrars, and it's the registrars combined with the probate judge who runs the elections.
What we should do is talk to some of these big money people and get them to support Harry, and he can run for auditor.
Yeah, Harry
doesn't
like Montgomery very much. Okay, so let's
That job doesn't pay that well either.
No, I couldn't. I would lose money driving back and forth up there with these guys. So PSE place 2, Jeremy Odom's an incumbent. Matt Gentry is a Coleman County Sheriff deputy, or he's the sheriff?
He's the actual sheriff.
And he wants to be on the Public Service Commission. Can he hold both positions at the same time?
I don't think so.
Okay, so he'd have to resign as sheriff.
That's my understanding.
Any input on this one?
I served with Jeremy when he was in the legislature. And,
Yeah.
He always did a good job. I think he's stood up for the ratepayers and stuff like that. So I don't know any negative. Do you? I think he's done his job.
People throw dirt out there, but as far as anything I actually know, to me, Jeremy, it wasn't Jeremy's fault
Okay.
that Joe Biden got in there and started jerking with the power companies and, the Whaley power.
Yeah.
And then, shutting the oil exploration down. Was that caused fuel prices to go up? And when fuel prices go up, electricity follows. But we've got Trump in there now, which I think sort of helps.
Well, we're going to start drilling. We're going to start doing a lot of things. So, but I know Jeremy. I've always liked him. Now, Brett, did he run against him last time?
Well,
he's running against
Chip Beaker.
He's running against.
Yeah.
Is it Bleeker? Or
My
Beaker?
understanding is Woodall is definitely running. He was running against Jeremy. I'm hearing he is going to flip, because I say nobody is qualified yet.
Right.
Now, that he's going to run for PSC 2 against Chris Beaker, who is the incumbent. But this is Chris Beaker the third. Chris Beaker the second, or Chris Beaker Jr., was the PSC commissioner.
Right.
But he resigned, and then the governor appointed his son,
That's
Trey
right.
Beaker, to succeed his dad, Chip Beaker. I keep hearing rumors that Trey Beaker is not going to defend the seat. I don't have any.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'm hearing rumors of that.
I love rumors.
I don't have any. He is the incumbent. He's sitting there now. He inherited a good position from his dad.
As all good positions are.
He was our rural development officer.
In St.
during
Clair
the
County?
Under Trump.
under the first
okay.
Trump administration.
Yes.
He was USDA rural
Yes, he
development.
was. He
Yeah.
sure was.
And that hit my head. How do I not know that? Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. They're from Greene County. I think Trey lives in Tuscaloosa.
Got a great mother.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Chris does.
Yeah.
Now, Trey is, I've never met Trey. I know Chris, and I know his daddy and his mother.
I mean, they're all Chris.
Is that right?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them.
Chris and Chris.
Yeah.
But, there's the senior beaker whom I've never met. The former beaker that just, his health got bad and he quit. And this is Chris Beaker the third,
Okay.
nicknamed Trey,
I got you.
who replaced Chris Beaker the second, nicknamed Chip.
Thank
got
God
you.
they didn't do any of that. I'm a third.
I'm a junior.
Are you a Trey?
But my
Hell no, don't
son's
call
a
me Trey.
third, and he's a doctor. But then I got the fourth that's 7 years old that we just finished the All-Star Baseball
Oh,
Championship
good
with.
stuff.
Yeah, the second you can call Chip.
Yeah,
The third is Trey. What's the nickname for four?
they call Perry 4.
Oh,
That's
it's-
what they call him, Perry 4.
They call me
Okay.
H3. I don't know. So look, this
Yeah.
is my favorite website, the Babylon Bee.
Okay.
World War III rated most disappointing sequel since Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
I mean, there were people whom I really respect, that I thought knew something. Were like, oh my God, we're going to be hit with a devastating attack from Iran. It's like, dude,
And all these sleeper cells going
yeah,
to blow up
sleeper
all the
cells,
bridges.
and they're going to be out here in the streets. It's like, okay, if they're in the streets acting up, we will shoot them. The reason we're bombing them is so they don't develop nukes. So we don't have a scenario where this could start World War III.
No kidding.
I mean, I always liked Tucker Carlson, but he sounded like an idiot on this.
Well, bottom line, it's all about peace through strength. And that's what President Trump did. And that's what he did, not only with Israel and Iran, but he did it in India and Pakistan.
So-
And I'm just telling you, he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. And I'm here to
this-
say
this
that. Right?
ceasefire-
He agrees with you. He settled the Kenyan Somali war. I mean, it sounded like he was making stuff up. I don't even know if they're next.
Yeah,
to each
yeah.
other.
I mean, Kenya and Somalia.
Okay, that's what it was. And so
then the India-Pakistan.
India,
deal.
That's the one.
Pakistan.
That's a big one.
Okay,
yeah.
but here's the thing.
Uh-oh.
Just so we can have an argument, okay? It sounds suspiciously to me like what Colin Powell told me about yellow cake uranium 20-something years ago. It sounds suspiciously to me like Bibi Netanyahu worked out a deal for himself where he gets to stay in power. And like I told you last time, I think this is all Jeffrey Epstein's master plan to bop the man over to get rid of the Ayatollah.
We've seen. I mean,
There's some reason we're not
obviously-
releasing those files.
Obviously, we don't have troops on the ground where we can actually go and collect the uranium and show it. But we've seen really close-up video and footage of hardened,
I know, but
heavy bunkers.
okay, but they've been chasing this bomb for 35 years. What made it 10 seconds to midnight? Nobody can answer that question. We just know. Anyway, it seems
We'll trust the attempt, but Iran does not deny they were enriching uranium.
no question. They've been after it for
Yeah.
years.
At some point, somebody had to say, "No, this isn't going to happen. We're going to bomb you."
Okay.
And President Biden should have done this 2 years ago.
So this is what you're talking about, high resolution. So we
Yeah.
came out. So here's the problem with the message. Okay, we kicked their ass. We blew it up. It's totally destroyed. Except everybody on the ADL payroll is going, but they can once they learn this stuff. We really need to go in there and regime change because they can just start building another one tomorrow, Brandon. They can go in there and scoop up all that uranium and start enriching it again.
Yeah.
So it's the neocon thing again that I just.
I'm
I'm a MAGA guy. I voted for Trump because he said he was going to keep us out of all this stuff. Now, if this is keeping us out of it, sending 40 B-52s around the world to devastate this place, fine. But it really had an opportunity to kick off something really bad.
What would have happened if a cargo container blew up nuclear style in the port of LA?
I mean, there's all kinds of ifs and buts, man.
But I'm saying you're the president. You've got to make
it
this
does.
decision.
You're making a fake
No, I'm
paper
making a
tiger
real
argument.
argument. I'm making a real argument. if
That the Iranians weren't going to do that. They were
We
going to
don't
send
know
an
that.
intercontinental ballistic missile over here and blow us up. Okay, why aren't we? So the crazy little rocket man has had a rocket and nuclear weapons in North Korea for 4 years. Why didn't we go in there and blow that place to oblivion? He's just as bad.
Well, let me just tell you this right now. I'm going to repeat this. Donald Trump takes a position and he don't look back, and it's called peace through strength. That sent a message that nobody's going to screw around with Mean Joe Green. Remember when he played football? Nobody. Listen, when you show somebody that you're going to kick ass and take names, and that's what he did.
That's what Bibi Netanyahu did. And then we came in and finished the job for him.
We did it all
for
for him.
him.
I did not like the fact that
I
did not like the fact that he came in and tried to bomb them again after we talked about a ceasefire.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Trump was not happy with that a bit. Those are the kind of things that pisses me off about him, but not Trump, but the prime minister. But I love Donald J. Trump. He fights for America, and that America First is all about peace.
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. When I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Anyway, I'll edit all that out. But yeah, I did have it queued up and ready to go.
But my point is, no one disputes that Iran was working on nuclear weapons.
That's right.
George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden all said, we are not going to let Iran have nuclear weapons.
Fill in the blank with North Korea.
Yeah, well, we're not going to let Iran have nuclear weapons.
Okay.
And Trump said, well, we're not going to let Iran have nuclear weapons. We bombed them. This is what happens when you defy us. And the defense.
They weren't defying NATO. They were defying Israel.
The difference between North Korea.
The UN.
The difference between North Korea and Iran is that North Korea talks a big game. They haven't invaded South Korea since 1950. I mean, they haven't jumped on China or Russia. They haven't invaded Japan. I mean, they play with little weapons and they don't eat real well there. Okay. Now, Iran, they killed our guys in Iraq. We're actively supporting Hamas when they attacked Israel. Hezbollah hit Israel with rockets built in Iran and supplied by Iran. The Houthis shot at our aircraft carrier with missiles built in Iran.
All kinds of things that we should erase the Houthis off the face of the earth.
And they're dug in cool bunkers built by Iran.
Okay. Well, anyway,
if somebody's constantly shooting at us, even when our missile defense systems shoot their missiles down, you've got to respond to that at some point.
Let me ask you something, Brandon. Is Israel the 51st state?
No, but they are.
But they don't have to register to lobby. Like remember everybody got in trouble for not registering as a foreign agent and all that stuff. You don't have to do that if you're representing Israel. Anyway, they just did all kind of special dispensations that I don't understand. So then we have could you please find a bigger mouthpiece for war? So we've got Levin and Sean Hannity take to the airwaves and talk about how evil everybody in Iran is.
And anybody who's been to Iran kind of knows this gets.
We've completely, very successfully attacked the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordo. I don't even know how to say all those things. So yeah. So then totally successful. Then the next day, the Israelis throw more bombs at him after he's announced a ceasefire. Really made President Trump mad.
Me too.
Yeah, me too. And then you know what? It's one of the very few times that I've ever seen him go off script, and I was like, you know what? I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
If I went over there and did this for them, and in recompense, they
That's
keep
exactly
dropping
right.
bombs.
Yeah, exactly.
The F bomb is the least amount of worries you got coming out of it. You know, have y'all seen this?
I've not seen that.
$250 bill the GOP lawmakers are pushing for honoring Donald Trump
That's
because
what-
of his
yeah.
peace.
Well, look,
Anyway, I thought it was pretty funny.
they maintain this. They're going to have to find some leader in Iran to build that country back up that's anti some of that terrorist crap over there and let them do it. I'm just telling you.
So Dan Bongino is talking about how hard his job is and how he gave up everything to go work for you, Brandon.
Well,
He's working hard for us.
He had to take a pay
I
cut.
don't know what he's doing, but he's working real hard. So about half of the people at the hotel that I stayed in last night at the Marriott in Birmingham were
Yeah.
FBI guys.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
FBI has become a major employer.
Yeah, but
here.
it's the new FBI, and all the bad guys are gone because Dan Bongino showed up.
Well,
These are the same guys that were chasing down J6ers with M16s and kicking their doors down and stuff. I don't know why everybody's all in love
we
with
have
that.
our guys giving the orders. That's the main deal.
Yeah, that's what's important. So anyway,
I like him. You know, he's got a child at Auburn University.
really
Yes, he does.
cool. So we're sorry, we're embarrassed, says the contractor who vows to clean up problems after immigration raid at Gulf Shores High School. Did you see all the Mexicans jumping off the roofs and stuff trying to get away
Yeah,
from ICE?
I did that article about the
He did.
the raids across Alabama, and that's what Donald Trump promised, is that we would have raids. And I mean, there's probably people that would like these construction jobs, and instead we're hiring people that are here illegally. You know, it's like, okay, I mean,
I smell a change order coming for this contractor for
it
this
sounds
school.
to me like
What
we
do you
need a new
think?
general contractor building that high school, but
Yeah.
So I'm not going to name the names either, but I heard a big contractor here in Alabama was doing a lot of work in Mobile, and they found that a lot of his employees were illegal immigrants.
No. Hey, how about this one? This is a good one, Brandon. Did you see
you
this?
should have used the one from the Gazette. That's like the most read thing at the Gazette.
Really?
Yes, the little guy there was he was in the Iranian army, especially a sniper. And apparently there was a lonely girl.
He's teaching ballerina classes, right? Somewhere in Birmingham. Go ahead.
No, there was
Yeah.
a lonely young lady in Locust Fork.
Yeah.
Who, wanted to find the men of her dreams. Instead of coming to St. County to talk to me, she decided to correspond with this little Iranian army guy over in Iran, who she then imported to the country on a fiance visa.
He goes, I'm on a fatwa. And she goes, well, at least he's committed to something.
She wanted somebody with a ring on it, and that was the guy.
Well-
and so she brought him to Locust Fork. And
He still got the beard. Like, you got look, listen, man, just shave the beard and you can come sit down next to us at Whataburger and we'll never know. But the beard gives you away.
When ICE picked him up, he still had his Iranian army ID card.
Oh,
on him.
hell no. I'd have burned that in the backyard with the Nazi uniform I had on, right? What in the world?
But I mean, when he was here, he came in legally, but he didn't report like he was supposed to report. So he became illegal.
Okay.
And when we bombed Iran, it was like, who are the most dangerous people here? Oh, well, there's this Iranian sniper guy that's loose in Locust.
Yes.
I'll guarantee you everybody in Locust Fork knows where that so much lives. And when all this kicked off, there were 3 people sitting in his driveway waiting for him to twitch or for the lights to come on. Don't you reckon? You ever been to Locust Fork?
I have.
Sneaking up on those
It's like-
snipers'
It's like
house.
Holly Grove right outside of
Oh,
town
I
here. You're in
got
the
you.
middle of nowhere
Right.
in about 10 seconds outside of town.
Right.
So Barrymore, this is an act to define what anti-Semitism is in federal law, and you guys can imagine my position on this, so I'm just going to leave it here. I think that, look, this bull crap that the Democrats were pulling on us 5 years ago about everybody's a racist. You're a racist and you're a racist because you don't love George Floyd. And you don't think that him getting stomped on by this cop? No, he died of a drug overdose. I'm sorry, right? That's the truth.
Now, when people are
okay,
taking
so,
over our universities, you know, they're talking death to Israel.
This is a
and
bunch
death
of
to
crap.
USA.
What's the difference in that and 3 weeks ago? I was at Auburn as Palestinians walk around in 1997 saying F Israel. Okay. Had a bunch of Jewish friends that I have, like, they weren't scared to death being on Auburn
There's
campus.
nothing wrong with having a protest, but when you're taking over the university and shutting it down, that's when we call truth.
Okay, well, I'm just telling you, if you had a law that said you had to be nice to Nazis, it would be illegal. Okay, you cannot dictate people's conduct when it comes to speech, and especially when it's people that are, I mean, obviously want to be recognized as a separate, as their own tribe.
You can send armed forces in when it incites danger.
Yeah.
And when they start saying death to
No,
Jewish
but they're talking
people,
about taking money away from the University of West Alabama because they don't have something you sign that says, I'll never say anything bad about Israel so long as I go to school here. And that's a bunch of crap. Anyway, just my humble opinion as an attorney and as somebody that doesn't like being told what to say.
Sure.
Which is why we're doing all this.
And if, like I say, your protest goes beyond the time period, we can remove your protest.
What's the difference
and we
in
can
that?
throw you out of school. And if you're not in this country, if you're not a citizen, we can revoke your student visa and send you back to where you came from.
Okay, 7 years ago, I'm a professor at Auburn, and there's some boy that comes in dressed like a girl, and he's got his hair long, and he's got fingernail polish on, and I'm going to lose my job if I don't call him that or they or whatever the hell he wants to be called. There's nothing more absurd than that rule or this rule that you have to be nice to people or you can't protest something or the school has to come down and throw people out or they lose their federal funding. Now, I'm all for Mr. Moore. I think he's a nice guy. I think I don't have any problem with any Jewish person that I know personally. But this has just gotten a little, it smacks of what the Democrats were doing with George Floyd. There's not a crisis of, if there were Jewish people getting killed in Alabama, I'd be standing at the end of their driveway with a shotgun at night, right? I don't want anything bad to happen to them. But this is grandstanding, in my opinion, just from the cheap seats.
But you don't see a lot of white people gather around a black university raising hell saying death to black people.
No, but they're not bombing.
And
But they're not
also
bombing
police
anybody
and
right
they
now.
do.
Yes, exactly right. You should do that. And that's when it incites a riot, you need to do something.
I don't care what you're protesting. You're
I
saving
know,
the
but
whales.
but we're talking about using this as a threat against certain universities that don't do exactly what certain people in power like right now. And right now, it's our people in power. But Brandon, what happens when there's weekend burnings in the White House again with the next Democrat?
We've seen that for 4 years.
I know.
With Biden, and that destroyed this country. Right. Everything they did.
But we're all fine with the president having all this wild power until it's not our guy. And that's why I'm saying we have to be measured about this. Even though it's my guy in there now, I think that there should be some.
Well, this would be an act of Congress.
Okay, so President Trump calls for Benjamin Netanyahu to be pardoned and corruption trial canceled. I don't know how that can happen unless it's the 51st State of the Union. How can the President of the United States shut down an investigation by the Israeli government? He can't.
He doesn't have that power. But as a citizen of the world and Israel's biggest benefactor, the president can say, hey, guys, I like Bibi Netanyahu. I really don't care about the facts in your case one way or the other. Shut your investigation down. Now, I can make that. I can say that about Baldwin County. They've got something going on there I don't like. Hey, we need to shut this down. President's exercising his First Amendment rights, and they still got to also be in the dual president to say, hey, I like Bibi Netanyahu. Shut your corruption scandal investigation down. I don't know whether Bibi Netanyahu's corrupt or not.
Well, apparently the people in Israel think so.
Well, the people.
I don't know what people in. If going by our baseline in DC, probably not. But
yeah, but what we just lived through with the Bidens, it's like nobody's ever guilty of corruption ever again.
Okay, so we have a continuing resolution, which is the same crap they give us every time because they can't sit down and write a budget. So now we've called the continuing resolution the Big Beautiful Bill. And apparently it has a bunch of Democrats throwing their skirts over their head saying that it's going to cost SNAP money and nobody's going to have Medicaid and the Obamacare thing is going down the tube. And so Katie Britt came out and said, yeah, that's probably not going to happen. And it's going to hold people accountable. You know, if you're on welfare and you ain't tried to get a job in 7 years, you probably shouldn't be on welfare anymore.
Yeah. Or if
People
you're
need to go back to work, basically.
Yeah, or if you move to this country, like President Biden flew a whole bunch of his friends in the country, and you have no job skills, and I mean, the little dudes illegally here working on Gulf Shores High School bother me less than somebody that's here that's now, oh, well, I now need Medicaid and I need some SNAP benefits. And yeah, let's just sign me up for,
But let me say a little something about Medicaid. And that's, you know, we've been working with this all over the country to try to stop the Medicaid fraud and abuse and stuff like that in different states and stuff like that. We're making progress. But what people don't understand, Congress is not cutting Medicaid. They're just limiting the growth to 3%. So they're going to get 3% more in Medicaid. And then we're going to reform to make sure they don't, providers don't.
But the number of people going on Medicare is going up exponentially like crazy.
Yeah.
Because of the baby boomers all coming in.
This is Medicaid.
But what I'm saying in terms of Medicaid too, you got to stop triple billing. There's all kind of stuff that goes on that nobody knows about. And that's what President Trump and that's what this folks I've been working with are trying to find a way to stop the fraud, to make sure the money gets to the people who need it.
Yeah.
Period. And that's and I think Katie is, when she's talking about accountability is needed, that's what she's referring to.
Well, she knows everybody at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama, so I'm sure she can get to the bottom of it.
Blue Cross Blue Shield and Medicaid, not the same thing.
I know. Double billing.
Don't
That's
get
what
us in
he's
trouble,
talking
Blue Cross.
Double billing.
I don't know.
Because business counts. But double billing.
But
okay.
But that's got to stop.
I get it.
That's got to stop
Okay, so
because
do you
you
know
and I
what-
are paying those.
Do you know
taxes.
what would help you? If all these illegals would just find their own duffel bag full of cocaine. So our sheriff in Baltimore County issued a warning
Yes.
after this
A
110
warning?
pounds of cocaine washed up. And he says, be real careful. There's dangerous chemicals in there. That was the warning. So did you know about the cocaine washing up, Brandon?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that seems to be a bit of a problem.
But-
Man,
now.
I don't use drugs. Drugs that just came up on the beach.
That's the good
I don't know
drugs.
where it came from. Yeah. That'd be
It's
like,
straight
no.
from Colombia. They hadn't cut a bunch of
Yeah,
fentanyl in it yet.
you're
What are you
trusting
talking about?
somebody that you didn't know who it was.
Don't worry.
But when you're talking about Medicaid fraud, I'm
Yes.
not talking about $5 and $10 million. And I guess it's safe to say this, but we just implemented something in Georgia and found close to $200 million of fraud in one state.
Well, it was
There's
like-
over $55 billion of fraud in America that was put out that we found through the National Accountability.
It was
agency.
it was like when my mother, in her last couple of years, she was in the nursing home.
Hmm.
And she was in the nursing home in 2020 when COVID hit. And naturally, the COVID got in mother's nursing home, and naturally, mother got COVID,
Hmm.
and so was in the hospital for months.
Yeah.
Do you think that they did not bill Brandon for the weeks that mother was in the nursing home when she was in the hospital? So, I mean, I know the insurance is paying for, our teacher's health insurance
That's right.
was paying for that hospital bed. Yet the nursing home was still charging Brandon for a nursing home bed for weeks
Nobody in it.
with no one in it.
That's right. Nobody. in it.
Yeah.
They get you coming and going, brother.
But that's the kind of stuff
Yeah.
that this group is starting to target states, Medicaid fraud.
Yeah,
And it's
Because we
not ready to say what it is in Alabama yet, but it's
Good.
significant.
Well, whatever.
It's significant.
I'm sure it is. And actually down in Florida, there was a 60-minute special about 5 years ago. And there are all these little storefronts where you say you can get your oxygen bottles and get your grandma a stroller and all that,
Yeah.
wheelchair.
Right.
Well, it turns out every one of those, what they do is they get somebody's Medicare number or Medicaid number and just start banging away, and the checks just start flowing. And then when they get caught, they shut it down and move to Orlando. And they get caught there, they shut it down and move back up to Port-au-Prince or wherever.
Yeah, when I was handling other stuff, I would get devices just mailed to the house, and it's like, and you call them, oh, Medicare's got that. Well, we didn't order that.
And it only costs $18,000.
Yeah, well, I mean, we didn't, but mother didn't need that. Her doctor didn't ask for that. I didn't order it. And, the postal service is delivering in a box to the house. And it's like, I had stacks of the things. And it was like,
somebody paid for it, right?
Yeah, the taxpayer paid for it.
Yeah.
That and probably Blue Cross.
A lot of these third-party people who bill stuff.
Yeah.
Triple bill.
Oh yeah, we found out all that.
I better not say anything. I'm just telling you what's the investigation going on with Medicare.
All right, damn it. Enough serious talk. Let's get back to the fun stuff. Let's talk about cocaine washing up on the beach. Another mayhem in Alabama. Okay.
Wow.
It's not uncommon for additional bundles of illegal contraband to surface, says Anthony Lowry. Ask the community to report any bundles immediately to local law enforcement.
What else are we supposed to do with it?
Well, it's like a jubilee. You call your damn friends and you say, "Hey, there's flounders washing up over here at Daphne."
Wow,
that's what most people do. I'm not saying that's what y'all do. So anyway, so did you hear about this construction worker, the damn Gulf? So it's not the Gulf of America, but of course, because Trump's in charge and we're the FBI, we call it the Gulf of America Fugitive Task Force. So Gulf America Fugitive Task Force.
Alabama almost made it Gulf of America, but the Senate did have the votes or whatever.
So look, see that guy in the back seat?
Same.
He's got on so he's hiding for hours and hours and hours. There's helicopters, everything else around him. He's got on a high-vis yellow shirt. He might be the dumbest guy who ever got caught by anybody. Yeah. So high-vis yellow shirts are not good when you're hiding from the FBI.
No.
And they have dogs and helicopters.
Well, it's not like you can change shirt when you're running around loose in the woods, too.
Okay, so you've talked to this guy, right? Didn't you? And talk to this fellow on another podcast that you did?
Chig. I've covered Chig last time we ran.
Chig. Oh, yeah. So,
it's Chad, nicknamed Chig Martin. He is the Democrat running for governor. Him and Will Boyd.
All right.
So he runs a hemp store in Dothan. He lives in Enterprise. He has a mobile home park in
Wiregrass guy.
Yeah, somewhere I think in Enterprise, and I think he also has a aircraft maintenance supply business, and I think he has a hat store.
So he's a businessman.
Yeah, and he's a country music singer.
He's a damn Renaissance man, huh?
He's
like me. Podcast.
He played football at the University of Chattanooga.
Interesting fella. So anyway, his pot shop gets raided by Aaliyah, and they steal all his product. And they say they're going to test it, but by the time they get the test done, it will be.
You're misreading this.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I interviewed Chig. You should have used our article because we actually talked to Chig.
This is a little impromptu, right? I did my best.
I mean, AL.com
I'm sitting in your office, man.
Go ahead.
But anyway, I talked with Chig, and they did not raid Chig's store. Now, they raided the store in Enterprise and the store in Troy. Yeah. And some person, Chig and his daughter, they fled, got out of there.
So the DA down there is one of my pledge brothers. We're going to call him, find out what's going on.
Well, it's Aaliyah and the Alabama Attorney General's office. They're doing an ongoing investigation. Yeah. They claim that some of these stores, I mean, and you and I can't even imagine this sort of thing. But some of the little potheads, they come to buy the psychoactive, cannabinoids derived from hemp. They were selling actual marijuana.
Mm-hmm. What's the difference?
Well, it's the level of THC.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
no, it's not.
In
the
plant from which it originally came from.
Yes.
Well, let me say this real quick.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You can talk about him running for governor. You can talk about all these other people running for governor. We had a saying somewhere in when I was at Auburn, that's the lock of the year. If Auburn was playing some weak team, it was the lock of the year. Well, the lock of the year is Tommy Tuberville governor. Nobody's going to touch him. He's going to win by a landslide because he's a fighter. People like Tommy. And this guy may be a friend of y'all's. I don't know him from
Well,
Adam.
he's a newsmaker. I cover the newsmaker.
Yeah. And what's the other guy that's running? McFeeder?
Yeah, Ken McFeeders is running as a Republican.
He got in some kind of trouble, didn't he? What happened recently?
No, he crashed his motorcycle. He was.
He didn't have his girlfriend on the back like
Yeah.
the coach in Arkansas did.
That's right.
He was trying
I
to
remember
make
that
a
one.
campaign video to show his competence to be governor.
Was he doing a handstand?
No, he was going to do wheelies on a video,
Wow.
and unfortunately, that did not work out well. He fell off the back of the motorbike.
Tells me all I need to know about him. Yes, you're right. There was some kind of trouble.
Look, but bottom line is Tommy's going to win this thing without a runoff. He stands up for people in the United States Senate. A lot of those senators talk a big game. He actually stands up. Now you could be with him, you could not be, but he's not bashful. He's going to be out there up front fighting what he thinks would make America even greater. And I like him, and I think he'll be great for the great state of Alabama.
We can't make endorsements just.
I know you can't.
But Ken McFeeders now did challenge Tommy Tuberville to a surfing duel because he says he's a better surfer than him.
He did really.
Yes, that was.
This isn't a joke.
No, this is real.
A surfing contest.
All right.
Interesting.
I don't want to see Kay Ivey surfing.
So the reason we were doing that was because he's running for governor and he owns a hemp shop. And
Yeah.
so all these hemp shops are being raided all over the state.
People are just totally confused with all of that.
So
stuff,
did you-
what
so-
the legislature
So
did.
here's Brandon, you're on.
Okay. The little tricky deal with the hemp deal is that, okay, we got rid of the smokable product and the synthetic cannabinoids
Yeah.
and anything over 10 milligrams of THC, and it has to have a lab analysis. And you have to have a license from ABC. The problem we're running into, that went into effect, that goes into effect tonight
At midnight.
at midnight. So July 1, HB 445 goes into effect. The legislation gave the ABC board until January 26th to write the new
regulations.
and issue
There's no regulations.
and issue the licenses. So this is like a hairy legal question
Okay.
here. If you're operating hemp store and you follow all the other terms of HB 445,
And they hadn't gotten the regs.
hey,
written yet.
you're not
You
licensed
can't
yet
comply because they hadn't written them.
That's what I'm saying.
Because the application form hasn't been written yet, so you can't send $1,000 and it's $25,000 surety bond to ABC because they haven't asked for it yet. Can you operate tomorrow?
That's a question for the court, I guess.
And there's a lawsuit that's been filed by 4 hemp store operators. And I have been all over the state of Alabama in the last, since last Wednesday when we heard about all these raids. And I've talked to 6 or 7 different stores. 2 of them had been hit. The other ones hadn't. I mean, only found 2.
What do you think? Would they, in your best guesstimation, do you think they should continue operating until the ABC comes up with the rules and regulations?
Listen, man, it's Alabama. I think we're going to steal all these people's product. We're going to put them in jail. We're going to make an example of them. And that's how it's going to go. Because for some reason, Steve Marshall, all of a sudden, now that he's running for Senate, he went and raided 20 illegal gaming casinos. 10 illegal casinos last week, and he raided 30 pot shops.
Well, I don't know. I think it's more like 10 pot shops, but something,
Okay, well, a lot more than he's raided in the last 8 years. Can we agree on that?
Well, this wasn't illegal till it just became illegal.
Right, but the gaming machines were.
yeah.
But it
But
just
he has
happened to
done some
coincide.
gaming, right. Sure.
Well,
So I predict that all this is gone. That if you're going to get pulled over. So here's the thing: for the last 50 years, how do cops get in your car? How do cops get into your property? They say, I smell marijuana. And then
Yeah.
they can walk in and search everything down to something this big, oh, there's no marijuana in that. So they can search everything. Same thing with your car. So when the 2018 Farm Bill passed and you could buy something that smelled just like it, and it'd be, from the gas station,
Yeah.
they no longer have probable cause. So guess what they have again tomorrow?
Probable cause.
I think I smell marijuana. I'm going to go through your house and your car and everything else. And on top of that, we just gave them immunity. So why wouldn't I do what the hell ever I wanted if I had a badge on in
I have
Alabama?
another question. How did they get away with having that amount of THC in those drinks?
Because it's legal. 10 milligrams.
I know. Well,
Yeah, but now the people that were selling, today, I
they're
can
selling
go,
it. How,
today, on June 30th, if I wanted to, I could go to a store and I could buy, a lemonade with 30 milligrams of THC in it. I don't know why I would, but I can legally do that.
yeah.
July 1, possession of that becomes illegal.
A
Over-
Class C felony.
Yeah.
5 years
over
in
10,
jail.
is that
Over
it?
a
Anything over 10
10.
becomes illegal.
because but if you had 3 of them and you poured them all into one glass,
That would be
That's
legal.
30. Yeah.
no, that'd be 30.
Question.
If Harry did it, he would go to prison. If Brandon did it, he'd probably be all right.
Well, bottom line is this whole thing is kind of out of whack.
Okay, well, here's the thing.
Little
It's
bit,
the
just a
only
little
so
bit.
so I had we had Ed Oliver on, and he thought we were unfair with him because I asked him the question very directly. Why would you ban so 50% of everybody wants to get high or party some of the
I do.
time? Okay, Brandon doesn't, but I do, and I choose alcohol because it's the only thing that's legal, right?
Yeah.
But there are other people that want to party with other stuff. So why would we make the only thing you can't kill yourself with illegal? At the same time,
It's not a
the
drug, is it?
sole source for alcohol is the state of Alabama kills 10,000 people a year.
Hey, I wasn't opposed to prohibition.
And
All
all this has to do with Coca-Cola wants to sell you a Coca-Cola with 10 milligrams of marijuana in it, and they don't want anybody else to have that ability.
No, time out, people. We don't know anything about Coca-Cola.
It wasn't a Coca-Cola product.
No,
It
no,
was
it's
something
not.
that-
No,
we
but
do not need to get sued by Coca-Cola
Yeah,
today.
but let me
I'm
say
saying
this.
the beverage industry, whether it's Coca-Cola or Budweiser, the distributors do not want you buying marijuana. They want you buying alcohol. They poured all
Coca-Cola's
this
not in
money into
alcohol.
this in Alabama, and Ed Oliver said, "Well, I just heard about that kid that got a hold of that stuff and got sick, and I couldn't live with it. We had to make this illegal." And I'm sitting there going, "Man, the bad kids in my high school had garbage bags full of dope in 1992 in the parking lot,
Sure.
right? So bad kids can get their
But
hands
no-
on anything."
Here's the thing that I'm concerned about too, that legislature didn't do that they should have, is the medical cannabis. That was something.
Okay. So Steve McMillan was my political rabbi.
Yeah.
His twin brother John. Nobody I know better.
Yeah.
They're cousins of mine.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we had John McMillan on, and I was as nice as I could be to him because
Sure.
I respect him and I like him.
Yeah.
And he's done a good job for the people of the state of Alabama. I don't know what in the hell has gone on over there. They hired a bunch of lawyers that didn't know what they were doing. The portal was all screwed up. They knew there were going to be 5 integrated licenses,
There's going to be 5.
and then 30 people applied, and all 25 that didn't get it sued because their methodology wasn't concrete.
Well, I will say this, and that there's a lot to that some people were concerned that filed the lawsuits. And a lot of them felt like they were discriminated against and that they had what it took. They had the bond. A lot of them.
What about the guys that
a lot of
built
them
the
were
$15 million building?
Yeah, a lot of what I'm saying, they were required to get a $2 million bond.
Right.
And the people they approved didn't get a $2 million bond. They didn't have a facility. They didn't have that kind of stuff. Well, this past session, they tried to just compromise. There was only like 4 others. And they just said, well, let's just let the commission approve up to 10. Well, they never got around to it because the person that didn't want that killed the bill and so forth. So today, it's been almost 5 years and nothing can be done. And these mamas that have children that need this stuff for epilepsy are having to cross state lines. If they get arrested, it's a felony.
It's a felony.
Yeah.
We're
It's
making felons out of people
Out
that
of
need
little
shit for
sweet
their
mothers.
kids.
Yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
I'm hoping and praying the governor at sometime this summer will see fit to call a special session and try to find a way to get this thing
I
approved.
know would be a good idea. The three of us get to be the sole source for medical cannabis. And then we get the state of Alabama to go out and kick everybody's ass that's selling it otherwise. Oh, I'm sorry, that's what we're doing. But we're not getting the license.
Yeah, we're not.
We're not the people that are getting rid of
Well,
this.
I just hope they'll find a resolution.
Okay.
We'll still be talking about this next legislative session.
So I need to give y'all a little insight into some interesting legal things that have happened recently.
Okay, good.
So Marshall signed on to an amicus brief where let me put it to you this way. So if the federal government were flying over Montgomery, Alabama and buzzing boats on the water, and a federal judge in the Seventh Circuit said, sorry, United States military planes can no longer buzz any boats on the river. Period.
And this
Not
was a
just in
federal judge from
Montgomery.
where? Federal judge from
No, I'm
where?
just giving you an example. This is
A
an
local
example.
federal judge or one somewhere state?
That's what I'm saying. It was a local federal judge that put an injunction on the United States Air Force, and
Okay.
it covered the whole world, right? That's what this case is about. So local district judges enjoining the federal government totally, right? Not just here in Washington State or wherever
Yeah,
this
that was
issue
always
was.
absurd.
It's terrible.
I mean, there's 330 million people in this country and hundreds of federal judges. Why in the world would one goofball federal judge who wasn't elected by anybody in some goofball state that we'll never visit do an injunction
It applies to the whole
apply-
country.
that applies to the whole country? It's like, hey, it affects the people in your courtroom, period. You apply an injunction for those guys, and you can take it to the Supreme Court. And if the Supreme Court wants to overrule the president or the Congress, okay.
Well, I
All
want to.
you guys,
Yeah.
no, y'all are just paid government flunkies in a black robe.
And that's what the United States Supreme Court said. They
Yeah.
said that. And
Yeah.
I give them a round of applause. for saying that.
Smartest thing the court has done.
Absolutely. It's awesome.
All right. So there's a couple more looks, and if you're watching at home, you might want to stop it and read all that. California Governor Gavin Newsom has filed a lawsuit against Fox News for $780. Now, I don't know how you came up with that amount, but $787,000 sounds like a good round number to me. So for what? For saying he's a lying scumbag politician?
The worst governor in the state,
Yeah.
And the
for-
gun-
in the
Yeah.
nation.
Sounds good to me. So anyway, that ought to be interesting. I'm sure it's going to be a federal lawsuit. These defamation things turn on whether or not what they said was true, right? That's your only defense to defamation. It's, I say, Brandon Mosley's a child molester, and then Brandon sues me. And then I find where Brandon,
But
was
defamation-
arrested 50 years
the
ago.
defamation was intent to hurt and stuff like that. But
Oh,
in
yeah,
this
then it's got to be
situation
malicious.
Was all this was a fact, what they were talking about. So
Well, let's not get us sued, Perry.
that's
Goddamn.
right. Well,
Come
I
on
mean, we
now.
don't need to get sued by Gavin.
We don't have Trump money to go against us.
That's
Okay,
right.
so who's this guy? Okay, so bringing it back to state politics.
yeah.
So this dude shows up dressed as a cop and murders a bunch of state lawmakers. And then he says Tim Walz told him to do it. Not his dog told him to do it, or his microwave, or
Wow.
That guy, I mean, it's sad that he killed the people that he killed
It
and
is. Man.
shot up the people. I mean, I condemn political violence.
Yeah,
One
but
was the Speaker of the House.
Yeah, the former Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
They just gunned her down. And her husband. And killed her dog.
But that guy was weird. Look, he dressed himself up like something on that Halloween show.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
crazy.
he was crazy.
And
And he,
dressed his vehicle up like it was the police. So the law enforcement showed up and is like, why is there an officer at my door? And you went out there and answered it like.
but
we
if
all would.
anybody's going to do this in Alabama, I have a list. I'm kidding.
Yeah, we condemn all political violence.
That's right. Absolutely.
Okay, so did you see this? I mean, this kind of scares me. Like, I've never been to London, England, but I understand that a lot of people from, the Arab part of the world have moved there, and the mayor of London has been Pakistani descent. Is that right?
Yeah.
For about 10 years now.
These folks that get sideways,
Radicals have always
they get
gone
sideways
over
with their folks in Pakistan, where, if you get arrested in Pakistan, it's life in the prison there is not fun. So they use their relationship as a former British colony to move to England, and they're too crazy for Pakistan. And so they take over neighborhoods in London. So London today versus London, like, in the 80s, whole different place.
Okay, let's
Kind of
talk.
like Dearborn, Michigan. Way different place.
Let's talk about New York City, because outside of Israel, I don't know that you can put that many Jewish people in on one little island. So how does this guy win that election?
Because Muslim guys have been moving to New York City. It's like,
I think it's got to do with Cuomo, and people are just
well,
sick
a lot
to
of people
death
think,
to him.
a lot of people are like, Cuomo's running for mayor. Hey,
They
who's
were
the next
upset with
guy?
him. I think there's a lot to do that, but when they start hearing the government wants to run the grocery stores, this guy's on. He's out from outer
And
space.
he said that he wanted to tax the whiter neighborhoods more than the other neighborhoods.
Well, why wouldn't you? I mean, like, honestly, they probably have more stuff, right? Okay. So have you seen the damn robot that's going to kill us all?
No.
So that thing. So look, every one of that. So that white stuff looking there.
Yeah.
Every one of them is like a string, right?
Yeah.
And it's like a tendon, and so that damn thing can move like a person.
I don't think I've seen that.
And it can pick up a Tesla truck and throw it through that window. And this is Gen 1.
Dude, I saw a
I
video,
don't think I've seen that.
and the Japanese have a robot. But you know how you saw in the movie how C-3PO walks and he's sort of awkward?
Yeah.
This robot was dancing pretty good. I mean, it's like the robot
Better
was
than
better
Elaine on
balanced than
Seinfeld?
I do.
Well, anyway, that's what's coming. That's what they're going to replace us with, that and the algorithm. Okay, so Orange Beach Police Chief retiring early. Does anybody know about that?
No. What was he retiring for?
I don't know. But
Just tired of
so one of the
From Orange Beach.
so
I know
one
you
of
got
the-
a new mayor running down.
yeah, well, Boyd is running. And
Yes.
so that's what the article said. The
I
article
think Tony
said
Kennan is running for re-election.
Kennan's running, and this is the weird thing. There's no difference in him and Kennan. He's been mayor pro tem since 2004 when Kennan was elected mayor. He signs the checks when Kennan's not there. Like, what's the difference?
Why is
They're
he
the same
running?
guy.
Why is he
Nobody
running?
can figure it unless Kennan's afraid that something's going to come out between now and the election. He's just a fail-safe because they're both. I mean, I know who their friends are down there:
Yeah.
Gene, Brett, and the Warners and the McKinnises and all these
Yeah.
folks. They're all cut from the same cloth. And so I don't know why I don't know why Boyd got in this thing. And then there's a third candidate, but I'm not sure. I think it was a lady or somebody that was a boat captain down there got in it right at the last minute. I'm unaware who they are.
Do you know Robert Kraft down there?
I worked for the City of Gulf Shores from 97 to 2001.
Well, he's a.
I
he's
know.
a-
Yeah, I
he
know
was
the
a-
Kraft.
He was a senior at Auburn when I was a freshman,
Yeah,
and he was Sigma. I've always liked him. I just wonder how he's doing.
he's doing good.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I
I've seen
like
him
him.
recently.
I really do.
And he's got a tiger by the tail down there too. He's got two people running against him.
Does he?
That's going to be hard to beat, Mayor Kraft. Yeah, he's and the other thing I like about him, so all this development that you see down in Baldwin County is
Yeah.
being driven by private sewer. So if you want to build more than one house per lot, you have to build more than one house per acre. You have to get on sewer because a septic tank will only perk 1 acre. So we had a private sewer company come in and they started using the right of ways without paying a franchise. And the next thing you know, we're building every little cornfield is being replaced with rooftops. And so anyway, Mayor Kraft, unlike other politicians, is not afraid
He's
of
not.
Baldwin County Sewer Service. and he basically thumped him in the head last May. So I'm a fan, and also
I like
Cowboys got 3 people running against him now.
yeah, but he also ran off the police chief Delmar, and who's now in Pelham, hilariously.
Really, he's a good guy now. I like
Who,
him.
Robert? Oh yeah,
Kraft.
Mayor Kraft is a
And
fine fellow.
I know a
and
lot
his
of-
dad was even nicer guy. I
I know
really
a lot
liked
of
his
guys. I know
dad.
Dr. McCullough down there. I know
Oh, yeah?
Stead, all of them. No, buddies. of
Did he do
mine.
your nose? Who did your nose? McCullough?
My nose? No,
You said
but-
Dr. McCullough.
no. I've just known him a long time. Business.
You're not a
reasons.
patient.
No.
No.
Okay. So do y'all know what this is an image of? I'm assuming it's real. So look,
No.
there's some kind of fountain right there, that little blue thing in the middle of town. This is everybody on the rooftops.
And that's where?
Kentucky, they jumped the General Lee over that fountain right there. Like set up a ramp and you know, unlike the TV show, when it actually hit the ground on their side, it broke the frame and the damn car kind of comes apart. It's really cool. But they legitimately did that. And we always have something ridiculous here at the end, or 2 or 3 of them. Just fun stuff.
I do want
that's the end of it.
I do want to send you something.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if y'all heard about. I thought I sent it to you. Was about that big brawl with 40 black ladies that got in a fight downtown Montgomery in front of Zaza's over here about a week ago. They were beating the heck out of each other. There were wigs and everything flying all over the place. But I'll send it to you.
Where was it?
No,
It was
just
downtown
a couple
here.
blocks away.
Really?
There's Zaza's right around the corner.
So was it like was it a
Nobody understands.
alcohol fueled thing at
I've
2
got
in the morning?
I got the video. I'll send it to y'all.
Oh yeah.
And
We'll
everything.
show it to everybody.
You're gonna go absolutely crazy. I mean, I showed it to my wife, and I showed it to my brother Conway. He says, "Sweet home Montgomery, sweet home Alabama," you know, something like that. But it was horrible.
Well, the people that got
They're
run
beating
off
each
in the
other.
river down here were friends of mine from Selma.
Well, what I'm saying is that was nothing
Compared to this,
This was 40 black ladies beating the hell out of each other, and there was wigs flying off. Just people beating them each other, beating them in the face.
Half of those sororities must have been like horns.
It was a rough outing.
wow.
Nobody knows why yet, but I'll send it to y'all.
So we're done right
But
now.
it's gonna go with a woman. Oh yeah. All right. So Perry,
Yes, sir.
certainly appreciate
Harry, it's
your
a
time.
pleasure. Yes, sir.
And of course,
Thank you.
Brandon, thank you for
Hey, can
your
I say
time,
something?
man.
One other thing?
Oh yes, sir. Go ahead.
It's great to be a Trump American.
I'm gonna do
Yeah.
all this from memory. Are you ready? It's gonna be
Is
so
it all right to hold
impressive.
this coffee here? No.
Man, you can do whatever you want.
Okay, I'll
You
just
can,
check.
as a matter of fact, today you can smoke you a joint sitting right here, just not tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I don't do that. But
Not tomorrow.